I sent the final invoice on a Friday afternoon. $45,000 for 6 weeks of work. Custom deck, outdoor kitchen, landscaping. Everything we'd agreed on. Everything Richard had approved in writing. Monday morning, I got a response. Not a check. Not a transfer. A 2-line email. The work is unacceptable. We will not be paying. Consider this matter closed. I stared at that email for a long time. $45,000. Materials, labor, subcontractors. I'd already paid for everything. My entire profit margin plus $10,000 out of my own pocket. And Richard Castellano, who owned 3 vacation homes and drove a car worth more than my annual income, was refusing to pay. But what Richard didn't know was that I'd been in construction for 22 years. And I'd learned something important. Always document everything. Always. My name is Tom Bradley. I'm 47 years old. I own a small construction company in Scottsdale, Arizona. Bradley Custom Builds. It's just me, 2 full-time employees, and a network of trusted subcontractors. We specialize in high-end outdoor living spaces. Decks, patios, outdoor kitchens. The kind of work that wealthy homeowners in Paradise Valley and North Scottsdale want for their estates. I started the company 15 years ago after working for larger contractors who treated their crews like disposable labor. I wanted something different. A business where quality mattered more than speed. Where clients got what they paid for. Where workers were treated with respect. Most years we did well. Not rich, but comfortable. Enough to support my family. Send my kids to decent schools. Take a vacation once a year. Then Richard Castellano called. It was March. Slow season. I was in my office, a converted garage behind my house, when the phone rang. Is this Bradley Custom Builds? Yes, this is Tom Bradley. My name is Richard Castellano. I'm looking for someone to build a custom outdoor entertainment space. High-end work. Money's not an issue. I want the best. Those words should have been a warning. Money's not an issue usually means money will become the biggest issue. But I needed the work. We met at his house 2 days later. Paradise Valley. Gated community. Houses starting at $3 million. Richard's place was on 2 acres. Spanish colonial style. Probably worth $5 million. Richard was maybe 60. Fit. Confident. The kind of man used to getting what he wanted. He walked me through his backyard. I want a complete outdoor living space, he said. Custom deck. Built-in grill and kitchen area. Seating. Landscaping. I'm hosting a party in 2 months. Needs to be done by then. 2 months is tight for a project this size. That's why I'm willing to pay premium rates. Can you do it? I looked at the space. It was doable. Challenging but doable. I'd need to see detailed plans. Get measurements. Put together a formal proposal. Do it. Over the next week, I worked with Richard to design exactly what he wanted. We had 3 meetings. Each time, he'd make changes. Add features. Upgrade materials. The budget kept climbing. $30,000 became $35. Then $40. Finally $45. This is the final number, I said during our last planning meeting. $45,000. But that's only if we don't make any more changes. Perfect, Richard said. Let's get started. I had him sign the proposal. Detailed specifications. Timeline. Payment schedule. 30% up front. 30% at halfway point. 40% on completion. Richard wrote a check for $13,500. The first payment. No hesitation. That should have been my second warning. We started work on April 1st. My 2 employees, Carlos and Miguel, plus 3 subcontractors. Electrician, plumber, mason. Everyone I'd worked with for years. People I trusted. From day one, I did something I'd started doing 5 years earlier after a different client had disputed charges. I documented everything. I bought a body camera. The kind police officers wear. Every morning when I arrived at the job site, I turned it on. Recorded walkthroughs. Conversations with Richard. Progress updates. Everything. I also took photos. Hundreds of them. Time-stamped, showing each phase of construction. And I had Richard sign progress reports. Every week, I'd write up what we'd completed, what was coming next, any issues or changes. He'd sign and date them. "You're very thorough," Richard commented during week 2. "I like to keep clear records. Protects both of us." Smart. The first 3 weeks went smoothly. We built the deck structure, installed the outdoor kitchen components, laid the foundation for the seating area. Richard visited the site almost daily. Always complimentary. "This looks great, Tom. Really professional work." I had him on video saying that. April 21st. Timestamp 2:15 p.m. At the 3-week mark, we hit the halfway point. I submitted the second invoice. $13,500. Richard paid within 2 days. Third warning. But I didn't see it. Week 4 brought complications. The electrician found issues with Richard's existing outdoor wiring. Code violations from previous work. We had to tear out and replace more than originally planned. I called Richard immediately. "We found some problems with your electrical system. Previous work wasn't done to code. We need to fix it. It'll add about $2,000 to the cost and 3 days to the timeline." "Will we still finish by the deadline?" "Yes. But it'll be tight." "Then do whatever you need to do. Cost isn't a concern." I had that conversation recorded. April 28th. 10:47 a.m. I had him sign a change order. Additional work. Additional cost. $2,000 added to the final payment. Week 5 was intense. We worked 12-hour days. Carlos and Miguel were exhausted. But we were making it happen. The deck was finished. The outdoor kitchen was functional. The landscaping was going in. Richard came by every afternoon. Each time, he'd walk the site, inspect the work. And each time, he'd say some variation of, "This is exactly what I wanted." May 10th. "Tom, this is beautiful. Better than I imagined." May 12th. "The craftsmanship is excellent. Really top-notch." May 14th. "My wife is going to love this. You guys have done an amazing job." I had all of it on video. Every compliment. Every approval. By May 20th, we were done. 6 weeks. Right on schedule. The space looked incredible. Custom deck with built-in lighting. Professional-grade outdoor kitchen with grill, sink, refrigerator. Stone seating area with fire pit. Landscaping with desert plants and accent lighting. I did a final walkthrough with Richard. "What do you think?" I asked. He stood in the center of the deck, looking around. "It's perfect, Tom. Exactly what I wanted. You delivered. Great. I'll send the final invoice tomorrow. The balance is $18,000, including the electrical change order. Send it over. We'll get you paid." I had that conversation recorded. May 20th. 4:32 p.m. That Friday, I sent the invoice. $18,000. Due within 7 days, as specified in the contract. Monday morning, the email arrived. "The work is unacceptable. We will not be paying. Consider this matter closed." I read it 3 times. Then I called Richard. Straight to voicemail. I called again an hour later. Same result. I sent an email asking for clarification. No response. Tuesday, I drove to his house. The gate was closed. I rang the intercom. No answer. Wednesday, I received a certified letter from an attorney. Richard's attorney. The letter stated that my work had numerous deficiencies and code violations. That the quality was far below industry standards. That Richard had suffered damages due to defective work. And that he would not be paying the outstanding balance. Furthermore, if I attempted to file a lien on his property, he would countersue for damages. I sat in my truck reading that letter, feeling sick. $45,000. I'd paid for all the materials up front. $15,000. Paid the subcontractors. $12,000. Paid Carlos and Miguel. $8,000. Equipment rental. $2,000. I was $37,000 in the hole. Richard had paid $27,000. That left me $10,000 short, out of my own pocket. And I had bills coming due. Suppliers. Loan payments. My daughter's tuition. But more than the money, I was angry. I'd done exactly what Richard asked for. He'd approved everything, praised the work, and now he was claiming it was defective? I called my attorney. Not a fancy corporate lawyer. Just a small business attorney I'd worked with before. Her name was Patricia Morgan. Patricia, I need help. Clients refusing to pay. I explained the situation. Sent her copies of the contract, invoices, Richard's attorney's letter. Everything. Do you have documentation? She asked. Everything. Photos, videos, signed progress reports. Videos. I wear a body camera on job sites. I have Richard on video approving the work, praising it, saying it's exactly what he wanted. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Tom, that's going to be critical. How much video do we have? Hours. Maybe 20 hours total. But I can cut it down to the relevant parts. Do that. Send me everything. We're going to file a lawsuit for breach of contract and fraud. Fraud. He's falsely claiming the work is defective after approving it multiple times in writing and on video. That's fraud. And if we can prove it, you might get more than just the $45,000. Over the next week, I went through all my documentation. I had 63 videos. Some just a few minutes. Others 15, 20 minutes long. I compiled the key moments. Richard approving the design. Richard praising the work. Richard saying, "It's exactly what I wanted." I organized the signed progress reports. 12 of them. Each one with Richard's signature. Each one confirming that the work was meeting specifications. I gathered the photos. Over 400. Showing every phase of construction. The quality of materials. The precision of the work. Everything to code. Patricia filed the lawsuit. Breach of contract. $45,000 in unpaid invoices. Plus legal fees. Plus damages for fraud. Richard's attorney responded immediately. Filed a counterclaim. Claiming my work had caused $50,000 in damages. That he'd need to hire another contractor to correct deficiencies. That my negligence had delayed his party. The case went to mediation first. Required in Arizona before going to trial. We met in a conference room. Me, Patricia, Richard, his attorney. Richard's lawyer opened. My client approved progress payments in good faith. Upon final inspection, he discovered numerous problems. Uneven deck boards, improper electrical installation, landscaping that doesn't match specifications. Patricia countered. Mr. Bradley has extensive documentation proving that your client approved every phase of work, including video recordings of Mr. Castellano stating the work was perfect and exactly what he wanted. Richard's lawyer smirked. Video can be edited, taken out of context. These videos are time-stamped and unedited. We have multiple recordings across 6 weeks showing consistent approval. The mediator looked at Richard. Mr. Castellano, did you approve the work during construction? I made comments, yes. But I didn't realize the full extent of the problems until it was finished. You told Mr. Bradley on May 20th that the work was perfect, Patricia said. That's on video. Time-stamped 4:32 p.m. That was your final walkthrough before he sent the invoice. Richard shifted in his seat. I was being polite. I didn't want to confront him at the moment. So you lied when you said the work was perfect? I was diplomatic. Patricia pulled out a laptop. Your Honor, may I show a brief video compilation? The mediator nodded. Patricia played a 5-minute compilation. Richard on different days. Different phases of construction. Always praising the work. The final clip was from May 20th. Richard standing on the finished deck. It's perfect, Tom. Exactly what I wanted. You delivered. The mediator looked at Richard. Mr. Castellano, this doesn't look like diplomatic politeness. This looks like genuine approval. Richard's lawyer jumped in. Those statements don't constitute final acceptance. The contract specifies payment within 7 days of substantial completion, Patricia interrupted, which occurred on May 20th, when Mr. Castellano stated the work was exactly what he wanted. Mediation didn't resolve anything. Richard refused to pay, insisted his counterclaim was valid. So we went to trial. The trial was scheduled for November. 6 months after Richard's refusal to pay. 6 months of me scraping by, taking smaller jobs, borrowing money to keep my business alive. I almost lost everything. Had to take out a personal loan, $20,000 at a terrible interest rate, just to keep paying Carlos and Miguel, to keep the business operational. My wife Jennifer asked me several times if it was worth it. Tom, maybe we should just settle. Take whatever he offers and move on. No. He's trying to steal from us. From our family. I did the work. He approved it. He owes me. But the legal fees. Patricia's working on contingency. If we win, Richard pays our legal fees plus damages. If we lose, we owe nothing more than we already do. It was a gamble, but it was the only one I had. The trial lasted 3 days. Richard's attorney brought in an expert witness. Another contractor who claimed my work was substandard. Patricia destroyed him on cross-examination. Have you personally inspected the work site? No, I reviewed photos provided by Mr. Castellano's attorney. Photos that show completed work. How do you determine whether work meets code from photos? Based on my experience. So you're guessing. The expert admitted he hadn't done inspections. Hadn't reviewed the actual construction process. Hadn't seen the permits or code compliance certificates. Then it was our turn. Patricia played the videos. Not all of them. Just the key moments. Richard approving the design. Richard praising the craftsmanship. Richard saying, "It's exactly what I wanted." She presented the signed progress reports. 12 documents. Richard's signature on each one, confirming work was meeting specifications. She called the building inspector who'd signed off on the permits. Was the work up to code? Yes. Everything passed inspection. Were there any violations noted? None. Then Patricia called me to testify. Richard's attorney tried to rattle me. Asked about my experience. My credentials. Tried to suggest I'd cut corners to meet the deadline. But I had answers for everything. 22 years in construction. Hundreds of completed projects. No complaints with the state licensing board. No failed inspections on any project in the past decade. Finally, Patricia asked me the key question. Mr. Bradley, did you complete the work as specified in the contract? Yes. Did Mr. Castellano approve that work? Multiple times. In writing and on video. Why do you think he's refusing to pay? Richard's attorney objected. Calls for speculation. The judge overruled. I'll allow it. I think he decided he didn't want to pay. And he figured I'm a small business owner. I don't have the resources to fight someone with his wealth. He thought he could just refuse and I'd go away. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They ruled in my favor. Breach of contract. Awarded me the full $45,000. Plus $22,000 in legal fees. Plus $15,000 in punitive damages for fraud. Total, $82,000. Richard's face went pale when the verdict was read. His attorney immediately filed an appeal. But the appeal was denied. The evidence was too clear. Too well documented. Richard paid. Took him 3 months and another round of legal proceedings. But eventually, the money arrived. $82,000. I paid off the personal loan. Paid back the money I'd borrowed from family. Put the rest into the business. The whole ordeal took 14 months. 14 months of stress. Financial strain. Sleepless nights. But I won. Not just the money. The principle. The message that small business owners can't be bullied by wealthy clients who decide they don't want to pay. Word got around. Other contractors reached out, told me their own stories of clients who'd refused to pay. Many had just written it off, didn't have documentation, couldn't afford to sue. I started sharing my system, how I document everything. The body camera, the signed progress reports, the time-stamped photos. Some people thought it was overkill. You don't trust your clients? It's not about trust. It's about protection. For both sides. Clear documentation prevents disputes. 3 years later, I'm still in business. Still building custom outdoor spaces. Still documenting everything. And I've never had another client refuse to pay. Maybe because word got out. Maybe because the documentation makes people think twice. Or maybe I just got better at reading red flags. I still see Richard occasionally. Paradise Valley isn't that big. Once, at a restaurant, we made eye contact across the room. He looked away immediately. His outdoor space is still there. I drove by once out of curiosity. It looks good. He uses it. Hosts parties. The same space he claimed was unacceptable. But that's not what bothers me anymore. What bothers me is how close I came to losing everything. My business. My reputation. My family's financial security. All because one wealthy person decided he didn't want to pay his bills. If I hadn't documented everything, I would have lost. Richard's expensive lawyer would have buried me. It would have been his word against mine. And whose word do courts usually believe? The wealthy developer or the small contractor? Documentation saved me. Video evidence. Signed approvals. Time-stamped photos. Things that couldn't be disputed or explained away. Every contractor I meet now, I give them the same advice. Document everything. Record conversations. Get signatures. Take photos. Protect yourself. Because there are people out there like Richard. People who see small business owners as easy targets. People who think they can take what they want and walk away. But sometimes, the small guy fights back. And sometimes, when he's prepared, he wins. That's the lesson. Not that you should assume every client will screw you over, but that you should always be prepared if they try. Trust is good. Documentation is better. And when someone like Richard Castellano sends you an email saying, the work is unacceptable, you can send back 63 videos proving otherwise. That's justice.